goes live, but I think we should be good now. I'll bring it up in my Chrome too, just to double check, but I'm pretty sure we're good at this point. Let's see. Yeah, we're good. Awesome. Hello to everyone watching. We have StreamYard says 0 people in. Okay, 64 people. It's gonna start off hot. Alrighty. Blunts, this is our first time meeting, but I say this to everyone. Thank you for taking the time to come on the live stream. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who know who you are, but a lot who don't. So do you think you could just give like a short introduction about who you are, what you do, and how you got into One Piece?
So my name's Blunts. I primarily post on Twitter, mostly about sort of crypto and some TradFi here or there. But I got into One Piece about 9 months ago. Started watching your YouTube stream and found I got a lot of great information out of it about sealed product and stuff, and joined your Discord chat pretty frequently in there. But I guess TCG is obviously something that's been performing really well this year. Something that I got into and just saw the growth and decided to start investing pretty significantly in.
Awesome. Well, I think we need to start off with kind of a heavy hitter question. At least I feel like it is. If you go to your Twitter, you are a self-proclaimed trader and bubble chaser. And you say,
sorry, go again. You just cut out for a bit there.
I said you're a trader and a bubble chaser. Now, when one pops, find another one. So my question is, based off your Twitter and based on you being in the space, is One Piece a bubble?
I don't think it's a bubble yet. I do think it has the potential. So when I got into it, I was doing my research on it, and I thought that it had the potential to sort of grow substantially from where it was. So I like to find, like, my general rule of thumb in investing is primarily long term, and I like to sort of find theses that I like that have potential for sort of like multi-year runs. I did believe that One Piece was like that. I'm not really a short-term trader. I do definitely like to sort of find ideas that I think will gain traction and sort of go up over a period of years. I think One Piece, even though I only got in about maybe 9 or 10 months ago, I do think that it was, something that had a lot of potential. It's obviously happened a lot faster than I anticipated. Like in the last 8 to 9 months, we've had, certain sealed products got 500%, some 1,000%. We've had, singles, like obviously the grails, which was counterintuitive at first. I thought they were probably going to underperform sealed product, but in my experience, a lot of like the grail cards have completely outperformed sealed product, which was not something I was expecting at first. But sort of long story short, I think we're not in a bubble yet, but I do think that eventually, by the time this is all done and dusted, it probably will be one.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess too, I know that you have some blue bottom Romance Dawn boxes, but do you want to share with the audience kind of what have been your largest positions that you've built in the One Piece space?
I've got a sealed case of blue bottoms. I think that's probably the single most valuable item, I guess. We've got a lot of serialized cards, pretty much all the grails. I bought it all. I think I remember watching your live stream with Kang, and he was saying he bought Roger, all the Gold D Rogers, because he didn't know what the sort of the Charizard, in his words, was going to be. I pretty much had like a similar approach, but I just bought them all, hoping that one of them was going to be the Charizard, and they've like pretty much all pumped anyway, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, that was my approach. I was like, well, look, you look at the population reports, of pretty much all the high value cards, all the mangas, like they're all sub 1,000. Like they've all got extremely low populations. So it didn't really matter if you picked the one, because they're all such low populations that I kind of knew they were all going to go up significantly. So I was just buying all the top chase cards from pretty much every single set, and that's kind of pretty well so far.
I think we should probably address the elephant in the room too. The news that came out today about Peach State and Southern Hobby now carrying One Piece product in the United States. I'm sure a lot of people are curious about your opinion on that and how you think that's going to affect the One Piece space over the next couple of years.
I'm excited. I'm low key excited about it because I think at the end of the day, everybody was completely aware that they needed to print more. Like it's gotten to a point where it's so ridiculous. We've got like EBO3, which is trading at like 3x MSRP, and it's literally not even out yet. The OP14, 2x MSRP, it's only been out a month. So like since OP13, shit just started getting like completely ridiculous. So I think everyone can agree they need to print more. I think initially when they do start printing more, and we don't like exactly know when that's going to happen because we know that like they start printing sets like 6 months before they're released. So we don't know at what point these extra print runs that are coming are going to happen. I suspect it's probably going to happen around about OP16. Probably not this next one coming up, OP15. I think it'll probably start around OP16. I think initially what's probably going to happen is everything's going to take a hit because everyone's just going to completely freak out. But in the same token, I think that's probably going to, in my opinion, usher in the era of like vintage One Piece, where everything that has come out before they started expanding the print runs will just in time become, viewed as vintage, and everything that sort of happens after the expanded print runs will probably be considered modern, even though One Piece is only like 3 years old at this point. I still think that's probably going to be how things are viewed. I mean, only time will tell, but that's kind of my opinion.
Gotcha. And I think coming from the crypto world too, I'm curious because you said initially things might drop, people are going to freak out. That's kind of how I feel too. It's going to shake out a lot of people. In your experience coming from a different market, do you feel like you might have a little bit of an advantage just because a lot of people know crypto's been volatile in the past? Do you kind of just feel numb to price movements at this point where as long as the underlying fundamentals of the asset that you're in, for example, One Piece, the certain sets or cards, does it just not affect you at all at this point?
Um, yeah, 100%. Like, coming from crypto, I've been in crypto since, probably late 2016, maybe early 2017. The volatility is just insane. You get a period of a couple of years where, majors will go up like 1,000%, higher beta altcoins will go up fucking 10,000% plus. But then they'll crash to minus 90% and go to zero. And all the bigger ones will crash 80%. But then the next cycle will come around and then they'll all go back up to all-time highs. So like the volatility in crypto is like completely uncomparable to any other asset class. Like if you can stomach the volatility in crypto, you can trade any other market any other asset class.
Gotcha. We should take a couple of these comments too, because there are obviously a lot of people in here. Utah, thank you for stopping by. Melv, what's up? How's it going? FOMO, of course, is in the chat, like always. Unified Mimes, what's good? Eric, super excited. We are going to have Eric on the podcast as well in a couple of weeks. That should be fun. Jason's in here. By the way, guys, if you do have a question for Blunts, definitely feel free to leave a comment. Put question at the front of it. I'm sure we'll have time. We have an hour today, so we'll try and get through as many comments as we possibly can. Dat Boy Reigns, we in this bit. We are here. We are here live. Jollibee, hey, Grayson Blunts. Impulsive's in here as well. And I'm just trying to see if we missed anyone else. Open a window. I don't know about that, man. It's a little bit cold outside, at least here in Canada. Is it nice in Australia? Year round?
Yeah, not year round. It's summer right now, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. I've never been, but I want to go sometime.
It can get cold. Man, we get all the seasons. We get snow, in Victoria, so we get all the seasons. But in summer, it's hot, and everyone loves summer.
Apparently, you're Reddit famous too, so that's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, I did a few posts on Reddit, like outlining like 3-paragraph theses on like why I think this is going to go up, and I did a few. Obviously, like they all came true, but like I didn't go back and gloat about them. But I got a lot of hate. Like I kind of realized Reddit's just like a cesspool. Like they don't even want alpha. They didn't even want to be told, valuable information. They just hate on everything. So I just kind of stopped. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, screw that. Like they're all fucked.
Dude, I feel like YouTube's the same way. Like nuance goes to die in YouTube comment sections. It's it's wild, honestly. Like you'll put out really good content and on your channel too, by the way. Like you have videos talking about blue bottoms from like 8 months ago or 9 months ago, however long it was. I think they're 11, $1,200 at the time. So it's just like people if they really want to learn, there's resources for them, but a lot of people just don't want to learn. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a
I,
weird
I
dynamic.
primarily focus on sort of like Twitter, and like Twitter's easy. I can just type some stuff. You know, I don't have to. It's a really lazy social media because you don't have to like set up a video and like talk. You can just type stuff, and I just love Twitter, man. Like, you know, I posted a few videos. I think it was like 1 or 2 on TCGs on my YouTube channel, but I'm super lazy on YouTube. Like, I don't really. I like watching YouTube. I don't really want to become like a content creator on YouTube. I'm happy on Twitter.
Yeah, fair enough. We should take this comment too from Mikey. He's in Melbourne. That's awesome. Pretty crazy timing for a live stream with Blunts with the crypto world in free fall. Do you have any comments on what's going on today?
Yeah. Like this is time out for me. This is like a I mean, because crypto's in like full blown capitulation free fall right now. So this is like this is helping me reset my brain because obviously that's what I focused on most of the time. I do think, you know, like part of the reason why I got into TCGs, you know, around about 10 months ago was because crypto was boring. I suspected it had topped. I knew that I was going to have a lot of upcoming time for like sort of new hobbies. So I kind of went into TCGs, which kind of gave me a break for a bit. But I do think crypto is very close to like a full blown capitulation bottom. So, you know, that's probably going to change. But, you know, I love like TCGs are fun. You know, it's just fun. I enjoy it. It's not like crypto. Crypto is just monotonous to me. TCGs have got a different element to it.
Do you invest in any TCGs outside of One Piece?
I don't really. I mean, like, I'm a big fan of buying like the first set of something new and like treating it as a like completely speculative play and hoping that it sort of works. Like I did that with Gundam. I had no intention of buying any subsequent sets. But because, you know, I was sort of in it at the time that Gundam came out, I was like, oh, first set. You know, everyone kind of knows that, you know, if something's going to take off, big if, because a lot of them don't, but if it's going to take off, the first set's probably going to be the most valuable. So I dabble in stuff like that. But apart from that, all the sort of data and sort of research that I was doing, you know, nothing came close to my conviction in One Piece at all.
Fair enough. I was going to ask you about Pokemon because obviously I'm quite invested in Pokemon as well. It seems like a lot of people who come from the crypto world, they love the vintage stuff in Pokemon instead of the ultra modern. And is there a reason why you just decided not to even touch Pokemon?
Well, part of the reason why I decided to get into One Piece in the first place is like I've got a mate who sort of is a manager of an LGS, and I was having a chat to him at a barbecue a couple of years ago, and we were just talking about Pokemon because this was at the time where vintage Pokemon was just skyrocketing. They were getting all-time high sales for Charizards, and base set booster boxes were selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We were just chatting at a barbecue, and I was like, "Oh man, how good would it be, you know, if we owned some of that and kept some of that stuff from when we were kids?" And I was like, surely like something new is eventually going to come around because the Pokemon crowd, it's the nostalgia from when they were like kids, and now those kids are now in their financial prime, so they have money to throw at this stuff. But like the Pokemon crowd are like the average age is like 35. You know, it even goes all the way up to sort of 45 and 50 from some people that I talk to. So I was like, at some stage, there's going to be something else that comes around where the people interested in it are a lot younger, and then in time they'll come into their financial primes, and if you get in early, they'll be worth something. And he just looked me dead in the eyes and was like, "Look into One Piece, like look into it, just go check it out." So I did. I mean, I obviously didn't buy anything for ages, but it was on my radar, and I was doing my research. And then part of that research, I mean, I think at this stage it was like just after OPO5, and like everything had already pumped, so I didn't pull the trigger then, but I was watching it. And I was like looking at like the TCG player like sales data they do every quarter, and like I could see One Piece just climbing every quarter. And then at some stages it was getting up to top 3 in like certain sets, and then it would like jump back down to top 4. But like this is the TCG that had only been out for 2 years at that stage. So like in my mind, that was massive. And then I started looking into like the pop counts for like the top hits, and I could see like, I mean, they're a bit higher now because I was like, we're talking about like my research I was doing quite a while ago, but like the pop counts for these top hits, even the Manga Shanks, that's the one I was kind of focusing on because that the Romance Dawn had been out the longest. At the time, the pop counts for that was like 800 in PSA, in the PSA 10s, and something similar in BGS 10. So then I was like comparing it to like, you know, the top dog, which is obviously Pokemon, and I was looking for, okay, well, what's a good comparison? So naturally I was looking at Evolving Skies and like looking up the Moon Beyond. And across BGS and PSA, I noticed like the pop counts for 10s across both, not just one or the other, was like 20,000 something. Like, I can't remember the exact figure off the top of my head. I think it was like 24,000. And I was like, whoa, like these are selling for 2,500 USD in a PSA 10, and there's 20,000 of them. So I was like doing the math. So let me just pull it up quickly. Like, what's 20,000 times 2,400? I was like, that's a market cap of $48 million for this card. Like, that is just fucking ridiculous. So then I was like calculating, like, I was like, okay, let's not assume that like One Piece is going to get to Pokemon popularity, because that's a big stretch. But it was like literally the pop counts were like 90% less. And at the time, like a PSA 10 Manga Shanks was like $1,000. I was like, this is like so undervalued. Even if One Piece can capture like 25% of Pokemon's market share, which it probably has at this stage, like probably hasn't captured heaps, but even if it can capture 25% of the market share, this has potential to go up like 1,000%. So that was kind of my chain of thought. And I think that comes from like, obviously my financial background, you know, because like I look at market caps. I don't look at, oh, this is expensive. It's like, no, like what's the population count? What's the market cap, you know? So I think that's probably where I get an edge over like other people in TCGs, like on Reddit and stuff, because like they just have no clue. But that was kind of my chain of thought. That was another reason why I was like, yeah, I got to get a piece of this, because not only did I think that it was completely undervalued, but like I could see the numbers on TCG Player, like I could see it climbing the ranks consistently. The player counts, you know, for your championship tournaments and stuff were like growing exponentially. So like all the fundamentals were there. The growth was exponential. The price was cheap, comparative to like other behemoths in the space. And I wasn't anticipating for One Piece to overtake Pokemon, but like my thesis was it doesn't have to. It only has to take 20% of the market share, and it can still go up 10x. So I did that, at that point, once that sort of light bulb clicked in my head, I was like I'm in, and I put a lot of money into it, and yeah, and the rest is history.
I feel like we probably thought the same way about a lot of things too. That was kind of how I view it and still view it. Like, I don't ever think One Piece is going to be larger than Pokemon. And I don't think it has to be. Like you said, 25% of the market would be great. The interesting thing too, at least when I was doing research, was like it's not much more difficult to pull some of the mangas compared to like the top special illustration rares or alternate art cards from Pokemon, which to me, if it was the same pull rate and these cards were still $1,000, $2,000, maybe like 4 grand for the Roger, the Gear 5 Luffy, like to me, that was very interesting as well. So I think there were so many things going for One Piece. It didn't really even matter how you got to like the conclusion you got to, because there were so many signs telling people like you should get at least a little bit of exposure to this TCG.
Yeah, I mean, I got a little bit obsessed and just started buying probably way more than I should have, and I kept telling myself I need to stop, and I didn't. I just kept buying more and more and more, and like even my wife was like, "Babe, like you need to stop. Like you got a whole fucking bedroom full of cardboard. Like what are you doing?" And I was like, "It's all good. Like I know what I'm doing." But yeah, that was pretty. Like I just had the conviction. Like I was pretty confident. Like this was all going up a lot more.
I guess this rolls in really well to Jason's question, which is that do you plan to trim down your position and roll the profits over in the future once the reprints or the market correction hits?
I think, look, so the way, like, as I said earlier, like I was just buying everything because I thought everything was undervalued. So I was buying like every set or all the grails. I think if I was to trim down my position, I'd probably start selling sealed product first, specifically mid-tier sets. I'll probably keep all like the A tier stuff, like all the anniversary sets, OP09, OP13, OP05. I'd probably lump PRB01 in with that as well, and probably Romance Dawn because it's the first set. But all the other sets I'd probably start to trim because they're just, in my opinion, they're big and they're bulky. Like all the grails I have, like I can store them easily in like a little box. It doesn't take up any space, but like I kind of went a bit nuts on the product and like managed to like fill up a whole room, and it's a bit overboard now that I look at it. I'm like, yeah, I don't need all this cardboard in this room. So if I was gonna trim down on anything, it'd be definitely sealed product, and it will probably be the mid-tier sets first. I probably prefer to keep the really, really good stuff.
Do you think that you would just take those profits off the board for TCGs, or would you try and move that more into some type of single or championship card, whatever?
Look, one of my biggest mistakes that I did make was just like I was buying BGS 10s and PSA 10s of all like the good cards. I was buying a lot of championship cards, promo cards, serialized cards. What I failed to do was buy black labels, like because I was like relatively new to sort of TCGs. Like I kind of knew what to target, but like I kind of just didn't buy black labels for some reason. But at the time, like it ended up being a really, really silly mistake because at the time, like the black label premium was like a 2x a PSA 10. But now the black label premium's like up to 4x. So like black labels in particular have like outperformed everything. So one of my biggest mistakes was not really buying black labels, even though I had the conviction. I just didn't do it, and it's definitely one of my biggest regrets.
We're now up to, I believe it's 3 black label red Luffys from OP13. I'm curious, do you have a price prediction the first time one comes to market, how much it'll sell for?
Good question. I think maybe 3x what a PSA 10 sells for. So
about 100K.
Yeah, I think about
90,
100K, maybe a little bit more. I mean, it might get to 4x, but I think we're probably in the middle of a little bit of a market slump right now. Like some of these mangas, some of them are actually off 40%. I mean, there's not that many comps to go off because like they're not that liquid. But going off recent sales, like some stuff is off 30 to 40% already. Obviously, some stuff isn't. Like the last Gold Roger sale was literally an all-time high sale, but a lot of the mangas are already off a little bit. It's kind of hard to gauge how much stuff is pulled back by because it's just simply not that liquid.
Yeah, those are good points for sure. I got into One Piece because of blunts.
Cool,
there you go.
Cool. Look, I've done a couple posts on Twitter about One Piece. Like literally, it's probably a handful. Like I haven't spoken about it that much, but I'm interested in it. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to do this with you. It's just like a new hobby. I'm passionate. I feel like
when you have posted it though, you've gotten a lot of traction on your posts for sure.
Yeah, and I was surprised by that. I was surprised by that because I'd never really spoken TCGs in my life, but like when I get into stuff, I get obsessed, like, and it becomes kind of consuming. And One Piece came into my life at a time where crypto was kind of dull, so I kind of like just focused on that, so I could just like not pay attention to crypto because it wasn't really doing much at the time. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I'm bullish on it. I think long term, I think One Piece still has so much potential, even despite being up a lot. So. Yeah, I'll probably be here for a while.
Do you have any opinion on buying some of the older SPs from like OP04 to OP08?
I personally didn't really buy many SPs. And I think that was a mistake because, once mangas sort of cooled off, SPs were like the next thing. The only SPs that I've kind of dabbled in was the newest one, which is like the Bubble Zoro. And there was a reason behind that. I think, look, let me go back. The thing I like about SPs is even though they're not like the top chase cards, the population counts on SPs is still insanely low, especially on sets where they have lots of SPs. Sets where like there's 8 SPs, which, some anniversary sets. I think that like when you crunch the numbers of, you're going to get 2 SPs per case. If there's 8 SPs to pull from, or in the case of OP14, I think it's 9, the chance of getting a single SP is like 1 in 4.5 cases. So I made an exception for the Bubble Zoro SP because I kind of did the maths and I thought this is going to be a really, really hard card to pull. In my opinion, it was the absolute best SP in the entire set. And I was like, this is going to be really rare. I think this could potentially have a lower population count than the manga. Because of how many SPs were in the set. I'm pretty sure the set has the most SPs out of any set. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it has the most SPs out of any set released to date. So I thought that was the best in my opinion, because there hadn't been like a Zoro SP before, like a Roronoa Zoro SP before. It was like Zoro Juro. I don't like any of the Kaleidoscope art SPs. This one just looked amazing to me. I mean, I thought maybe it's just my opinion, but I think the market's kind of already agreed that this is the nicest art because the price is up. So that was my thesis behind that. And that's kind of the only SP that I've dabbled in.
Fair enough. I agree with you too. I don't like the Kaleidoscope SPs. I've got a lot of hate for that before. I think
some people like them. I don't like them.
Yeah, some people do. Some people do for sure. Have you looked at Riftbound at all too? Jolly was curious about that.
No, one of the people I speak to regularly, he has an online LGS. He's been talking to me about it a lot, and I know he's big into it. So there's definitely people big into it. I just think, I don't know. I was always a Dota fan, so that kind of was already put me on the back foot with Riftbound because Dota and League of Legends have always been like direct competitors. I always preferred Dota, so I think that I kind of disregard it. I mean, if it does well, great, but I don't have any skin in the game and I don't really care.
I think this is a really good question too, talking about the vintage stuff. Is OP13 going to be one of those sets regarded as vintage?
I mean, this is a really, really tricky question because me personally, I think that, so my thesis is I think Bandai has got a lot on their plate with catching the West up to the East. And I feel like they won't be reprinting sets until that's done. And I think that is going to get done at around OP16. I think once OP16 comes around, we're going to have a release schedule on par with Japan. I think Bandai's been trying to chase their tail, trying to make that happen, which is why, in my opinion, I don't think we've seen reprints on stuff for a long time. I think they're really focusing on that, and I think it's actually a lot harder to do than people give them credit for. I do think there will be a massive increased print run at some stage. I suspect it's going to be from OP16 onwards, and that will coincide with when they've caught the English up to Japanese. Whether or not they go back and reprint stuff, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that, but I think OP13 will probably still be considered vintage simply because it's just such a GOAT set. It's like literally the best set today. Even if they reprint it, I think it'll probably still get lumped in with vintage. But I also firmly believe that once they start massively ramping up the print runs, which everyone can agree is necessary at this stage, I think that will be like the line in the sand for what people decide to call vintage and what's kind of modern.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be on the edge, whatever happens. That's at 14, 15. And I think you put it perfectly. Like nobody knows except maybe Bandai at this point what they're ultimately.
We also know they do reprint. Like they went back and they reprinted 05, they reprinted 09. So they totally could do it. But I think by the time they catch up to the West to the East, we're going to be at OP16. Again, I don't know that. I'm speculating that as well. But I think by the time we get to OP16, are they going to go back 3 sets and start reprinting that? Or are they just going to focus on the new stuff and just start printing more of it? I mean, we don't know the answer to that, but in my opinion, that's just the most logical thing. So I kind of think that maybe OP13 might not get a reprint. Like, again, I don't know, but a lot of people are praying that it's going to happen. But like, man, I don't know. What if they don't? Shit's going to get wild.
For sure. I probably still am on the side of expecting it to get reprinted at some point this year. I feel like I cop a lot of hate just for always leaving open the possibility that it could happen. To me, it's very dangerous that there's so many people in the space that just assume Bandai is going to do like one and done for every single set. Which, I mean, they've reprinted OPO 1 like a year after release, over a year after release. OPO, like it's happened before. So I
The
really do think that
precedent's
people
there.
are, yeah,
The
exactly.
precedent's there. They've done it with 05. They've done it with 09. Like the precedent's definitely there. The thing that I'm kind of always keeping in the back of my head is they haven't been like trying to catch the West up to the East before. That hasn't happened before. So that's a new factor that we have to consider. Like they've got a lot on their plate right now. Like they're really trying. I mean, they're trying to get the West up to the East, and I think that is factoring in to why we haven't seen more reprints of stuff, because they've got their plate full at the moment.
Mm-hmm. This is a really good question too. We kind of already covered it in terms of One Piece, but maybe outside of One Piece, like what are some other things that you're currently investing in?
Outside of One Piece, look, I'm invested in quite a few things, like crypto, precious metals, AI, energy, commodities, especially energy and commodities that tie in with AI, which is like copper. Copper is going to be a big component in AI. Energy, for energy, I picked like nuclear energy because it's like 100% baseload power. So it's like pretty much one of the very few energy sources that AI can use, because, they can't have power going out when the wind stops or, when the sun stops shining. So I think nuclear is going to be massive. It's basically like a picks and shovels way of playing AI. So yeah, they're big things. Mainly commodities, precious metals, crypto, AI, energy. That's pretty much it. And TCGs, of course.
And TCGs.
Yeah.
How about BFS? I don't even know what BFS is. That TCG?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
Collecting. If you want to verify what you're talking about, let us know. Austin's in here as well. What up? Interesting time for Bitcoin. Hope the stream is going well. Yeah, it's going well. I mean, Blunt says, taking some time out of it's just interesting too, man, because you were really like one of the first guys that I saw from crypto, like come over and just be so outspoken about One Piece. Like I've seen people go to Pokemon, which I think is kind of like, that really is the gateway drug for a lot of people getting into the Pikachus and the Charizards, but just hopping over that instantly into One Piece, I thought was just so interesting.
Sorry, my phone cut out for my.
No, you're good.
Cut out.
You're good. No worries. Question: what does Blunt and Grayson think about the True Grail, or what do we think it is? The Gold Roger, the Oda Sig cereal? That's a good question. I feel like you said you bought kind of all of them, but do you have a better idea now of what's the card?
I bought the most of Gear 5 Luffy's and Gold D Rogers. I have a few more Rogers than the Gear 5 Luffy's because when I was sort of accumulating them, they were the same price, except the Gold D Roger had a way lower population count and still does. So I kind of went heavy on the Rogers, but I really like the Gear 5 Luffy's, the Oda Sigs, and the cereals. I didn't pick up any of like the first cereal, like that
out of 700,
the 700 one, but I picked up quite a few of like all the rest.
Yeah, I feel like that's been the hot one, at least like with the guys that I talk to. Everyone's trying to get a one of seven. I mean, there's only 700, man, in the world, right? So, and some of those are BGS.
I regret it. I regret it. Like they were at the time they were like higher than anything else, obviously, because it's the Grail. But I just saw better value elsewhere. But obviously they kept pumping and they're up a lot. So that chain of thought was probably wrong in hindsight as well.
It's an interesting question too. I mean, I don't know if this is cap or not. I just bought EBO3 booster boxes, English, for 185 USD in South America. Why are local stores in the US don't sell for MSRP? If you're actually getting it for 185, that's amazing. The unfortunate reality is a lot of stores are just going to sell at market. I mean, why would you sell at MSRP when you could sell for $300 more a box, right?
Yeah. Look, I mean, if you can pre-order well in advance, like I kind of took that strategy myself. Like I kind of, in my opinion, the writing was on the wall, and I knew because I follow Pokemon. I talk to a lot of people in Pokemon, and in Pokemon, new set will release, and it'll be literally 2x MSRP on day one, and that hadn't happened in One Piece. You could still pick up One Piece at MSRP on day one, but I could see the trajectory that it was going, and I had a feeling that it was going that way. So I just was like doing pre-orders for cases on stuff literally 6 months in advance without knowing what the cards inside were. I was just doing it anyway. And now we're at the point where stuff is 2x MSRP on release. So I've got pre-orders for stuff, up to OP 16. Nothing is going on sale for OP 17, not that I can see, not in Australia anyway, because everyone knows cat's out of the bag now. Like everyone knows it's going to be worth a lot, so it's just not available. But I think I'm probably going to tone back that strategy now that the word on the grapevine is they're going to start printing more and there's going to be extra distributors. So I kind of think that it worked for me in the past, but I'm probably not going to do that moving forward because I want to see exactly how much extra supply is going to start hitting the market. So I mean that was a good strategy to go by back then. I think moving forward, it's probably not going to be a great strategy because we don't know how much extra supply they're going to print. Like, what if it's double? Like we don't know,
or more than double. I
exactly.
feel like you probably timed it very well, just getting up to 16 because it's either going to be 16 or 17. I feel, and I don't know if you watch a non-TCG. He put out a video today, and apparently, according to the people he talked to, it might end up being 17. That's really when Southern Hobby and Peach State are going to get their product. But yeah, it's good timing for you for sure. I was going to ask,
and funnily enough, that would be the anniversary set. So I'd love to see how the market reacts because it's obviously going to be an amazing set, but it's probably going to have potentially double the print run. So I'm going to be very curious to see what happens around that time.
What are kind of your thoughts about how the market shifted in terms of sentiment over the past, I'd say like 90 days? I've been really outspoken that it's kind of concerning to me how many people now have faith in Bandai, whereas like 90 days ago, 180 days ago when I was making videos, I think one of the top comments I would always get from people objecting about investing in the game was Bandai's destroyed, Battle Spirits and other games in the past. Why do you feel that things have kind of just changed so much over the past, if you feel that way, over the past kind of 3 to 4 months?
I personally was under the impression that One Piece is the golden goose. Like I believed from what I was seeing and like the growth, I believed that and just the way they were printing stuff and keeping it kind of undersupplied. I could see that every time I'd say anything about One Piece, like that was always the argument about Bandai's done this in the past. And it was like, yeah, but like humans are creatures that learn from their mistakes. Like if you're someone who makes the same mistake over and over and over and over again, you're not going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. Like you're retarded. So like I was under the impression that Bandai had learned the lesson from their mistakes. Obviously One Piece was extremely popular. But yeah, I copped that a lot as well. Everyone was saying, yeah, but what about Dragon Ball? And what about this? And I was like, look, I learned from my mistakes, so why wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Do you have any thoughts on this? Is a good question too to bring up. What do you think about the discrepancy basically between PSA 10s and I'm assuming like ungraded copies?
What do you mean?
I mean, when I was reading this question, maybe I'm reading this wrong. On the inefficient discrepancy regarding PSA 10 premiums, I think they're just asking because the gem rates are so high, and if an ungraded copy is like $100, but the PSA 10 is going for I don't know $300, $250, but there's a 90% chance you're getting a 10.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. I get it. Look, I think it's great. I think that's an inefficiency of the market being so new. It's a 3-year-old game. I think that gap will eventually close. I was fully taking advantage of buying raw copies and grading them because it was free money for ages and ages and ages, and it still is. I think a lot of people place value on something not necessarily being a 10, but kind of being authentic. I think a lot of people sort of discount the fact that people are more willing to pay, especially for high value items. Like me, when I started, like I was buying PSA 10s. I knew I could get raws for cheaper, but I was still buying the 10s because I was spending a lot of money on them, and I wanted the peace of mind knowing that they're real. Later down the line, once I actually started to learn to distinguish the sort of spot the difference between fakes and raws, I did start buying raws because it was literally free money. Like you could buy a whole bunch of raws, grade them. The gem rate was like 90%, and you could sell them for like literally 80% more. So like it was free money. So after I'd kind of accumulated a whole bunch of graded singles, I did start delving down the rabbit hole of buying raws and grading them myself because like, you know, you could just make so much more money. But one thing I've noticed, and, you know, anecdotally from myself and also people I speak to, is PSA started grading One Piece much more harshly than they used to. Like back in the day when I started, you could send in like a 20 subs to PSA and literally all of them would come back 10s, or maybe one would come back a 9. Now it's like 50%. Like I've literally had subs that I thought were pretty bang on, and half of them were 10s and like the rest were like 9s. So from my anecdotal experience and the people that I speak to as well who grade a lot of cards, we all seem to believe that PSA is starting to grade One Piece a lot more harshly than they used to. And I think that's harsher grading scrutiny is just coming from the fact that One Piece's card quality is just so great, and they feel like they kind of don't want everything being a 10. But yeah, I do think that's happening.
Do you feel like there's any other very large inefficiencies that you can see in the market?
Right now, I think in the early days, definitely. I think right now the gaps are closing. But like if you can hop on eBay and you can find a card that looks mint, you can tell, you know, based on high quality photos what's a fake and what's not. You know what to look for. If you can buy a card that you like raw and think you can get a 10 for it, you can still, like, you know, in some cases double your money. So as much as the gap is closing, like there is still 100% potential to just buy raws and grade them and just make money, like, and not like literally double your money in some cases. So like that the gap is somewhat closing in a sense, but you can still totally do it. And I just think it's because One Piece is a couple years old. It's still, even though it was like what, end of 2022, so what's that, 3 years, it's like 3 years old now. I just think that that's just a product of the game not being that old.
Okay, fair enough. We got Dr. Mike in the house as well. You guys should connect sometime. I think Mike would love to pick your brain. 9 months later, which one card would you say is the Charizard of One Piece? You had to pick only one.
Look, and that's still, I think in time the market will tell us. Like one card will just start growing, outpacing like everything else, and it'll become obvious in hindsight. But like right now, it's still tough. Like it's really hard because like you've got Gear 5 Luffy selling for 20K, you got Gold Roger selling for like 25K, you got the 700 serial Luffy selling for like 50, I think, maybe more. I haven't checked it. Like the gap's still pretty close. Yeah, I don't think the market's chosen that yet. I think we'll know in time, but I still think it's early days, and I think the market will tell us in time, but I don't think it has yet. It's still too hard.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting discussion. I feel like people get way too tribal too about this. It's like, man, just, you know, I know a lot of people that have pretty much every single top chase that you could think of. So a lot of people just don't care which one it's ultimately going to end
Yeah.
up being if they have skin in the game.
And
And
look, I
I
think
think,
the best way to value them, is my opinion, is like, okay, is the character popular? If that's a tick, all right, good. Has it got a low pop count? Is it extremely hard to pull? And I think they're the two biggest things you need to base your, you know, what you think is going to be the grail. How popular is the character? How low is the population?
mhm,
And they're the two most important things.
I would agree. Yeah, and then everything after that, like artwork and stuff, definitely
Yeah,
secondary.
of course. Yeah, I failed to mention that, but
Mhm.
yeah, the card has to look good as well.
Do you own physical copper? This person was one. I imagine no, but
No, definitely not.
what about like gold and silver? Any interest in those?
Up until recently, yes, definitely. Like gold and silver were up a lot. Silver, peaked at let me pull up, where did it peak at? I think it was like $120 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, silver peaked at $120, and literally like 2 years ago it was trading at 17. So like that's a 10x. So yes, I was very interested in them over the last year, but in light of recent price action, I'm a little bit more cautious now.
Is there a story behind this? I'm assuming they're referring to YouTube.
Yeah. I literally was like looking because when I joined the stream, it asked me to put like a profile picture in, and I couldn't find my original one, and this was the only one I had saved. It's a cryptocurrency. It was called Dog with Hat, and I put a fucking hat on the profile picture for the shits and giggles, and that was the only one I could find, so I just put it on.
There you go. How much money? Let's see. How much money do you need in OP to make it? I feel like this is a really subjective
It's like that. You can't answer a question like that. I mean, everybody's circumstances are different. I have friends ask me all the time, I want to buy this. How much should I put in? It's like, I don't know, man. Like, I can't answer that. Like,
yeah,
how much funds do you have? How big is that as a portion of your net worth? Like that subject is too nuanced for anyone to be able to answer.
Yeah, I will say, like, a lot of people won't even start investing because they feel like they don't have enough, right? Like if you're always comparing yourself to someone else on the internet, whether it's Blunt,
Comparison is a thief of joy.
Exactly, 100%. So I think whatever you have, as long as you budget, you stick to your budget, tons of good options in pretty much like every price range, I feel. So
I like to think in terms of percent, not dollar value.
there you go.
Like if you buy something and it goes up 20%, 100%, you made 100%. If you put in $100 and it went up $100, don't think of it like, oh, I made $100. Think of it as I made 100%. Because if you're using dollar amounts, you just spiral. Like it's like investing is investing, and investing is great. Like you always want to invest because of they just print more money all the time. Like inflation's like a real thing, so everyone should invest in something. It could be anything. Like you definitely want to invest your money in stuff because you don't want to just sitting there in a fucking like an interest savings account or anything like that. But you think in terms of percent, not dollar amount.
Mm-hmm. I think you're in the Discord talking about too, like kind of just the rate in which a lot of companies, a lot of countries are printing money at this point. Like you really have to put your dollars to work. So just find something to invest in.
Yeah. And and the interesting thing about that is like I don't know about schooling in Canada, but like here in Australia, they don't tell you about that. Like man, it's like a dog eat dog world out there. You have to teach yourself. Your parents don't teach you, or mine didn't. And you really need to learn about inflation because like over the long term, it just kills everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never learned anything about that in school. And I was on with Pokey and E last night, and he had a pretty interesting take on, because I think we were talking about like taxes and stuff like that and things that you don't actually learn in school. And his take was like, it doesn't matter if you learn this in school, you're probably not going to remember it anyways. I do think there's like some level of influence that school has on kids. So it's like there are certain cultures, specifically in Asia, a lot of them, where they do focus on, having solid economic fundamentals, teaching kids young. I think Canada's basically the same as the States, man. Like so many people have debt. People don't think about, their dollars eroding to inflation. It's troubling for sure.
Look, I definitely want my son learning that in school. I know he probably won't, but I do kind of agree with him a little bit in the fact that like when I want to learn about something, like I get obsessed about it. Like if I want to learn, I'll learn. I don't like being forced to learn about shit I'm not interested in. And I've turned out fine. I didn't go to university or anything like that. Like, if you're interested in stuff, learn it. And if you're interested in something, you'll want to learn it. It's not like studying or anything. Like you're interested in it. So
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're a prime example of like you don't need the education. If you're willing to just put in the work and learn stuff, you'll get where you want to go. There's one question here too. that I can't find. Oh, here it is from Jolly. Is there anything that you have that you feel like is a PC that you'll just never get rid of, even if you exit out of
Um,
One Piece?
Look, I'll always have at least like I love my Gold Rogers. I love my Gear 5 Luffy's. I love all my cereal cards. I've got multiple copies of all of them. If I did decide to sell, I would probably always keep at least one. I would never sell all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
But is
again, I don't know what the grail is, you know, like I still think it's too early to tell that. I do have the sort of 5-year time frame. I think I heard you mention it the other night with Brian, and you were mentioning, you know, like the demographic for the people interested in One Piece right now is lower than Pokemon. So I feel like they're not in their financial primes yet. I feel like that's the investment thesis. You want to invest in something early where the target market aren't in their financial primes yet, so they're going to be more inclined to sort of fork out the big money when they make it later in life. So I think I think there's a 10-year runway ahead on One Piece at least. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but like that's my thought. That's my opinion.
the one thing we haven't talked about yet today, which I do want to get your opinion on, is if you're worried about the manga, the One Piece actually ending, is that a concern to you?
I think so. Like it's not affecting me. I mean, eventually it's going to end. I still think it's still got a while to go. Even when it ends, like we've got the live action happening. That's probably going to drag out for years. I think the cultural relevance is just supersedes whether or not the manga ends or not. Like people have grown up with One Piece for decades. Like the story's just so insane. They're remaking like the anime, like to condense it to hopefully onboard sort of new fans. There's IPs that have been out there, for ages that are still popular, and like they kind of don't, like there's still people that collect Star Wars stuff. Like, and how old is that? Like, I don't know. I mean, like we've had countries like overthrowing their government, fucking waving the Luffy flag, man. Like, I mean, like where have you ever seen something like that happen before? Like, I feel like the cultural relevance of One Piece is insane. I think it's so much bigger than people give it credit for. And I think it will probably transcend the manga ending. And even then, I think the manga ending is still probably a while away. It's not anytime soon. And the anime is going to go for a while as well. Like, yeah, I'm just not that worried about that.
I would agree. I would agree across the board. Yeah, definitely not something to worry about. I would say over the next 5 years. To me, it feels like there's that much runway, at least for the story. And then, like you said, like even after it ends, I think we're going to be in a good spot. Potato did ask what percentage of your net worth is in TCGs.
Right now, it's about 10%. That's like, and I'm happy with it being at 10%. It was a lot lower. Like, obviously, I bought stuff and it's gone up a shitload. Like, I didn't just start with 10%. I was more like 2 or 3%, and then it kind of grew. But yeah, right now it's about 10%.
I'll take this question too because I think this would be
In
really
saying,
good.
look, sorry, I just want to like in saying
worries.
that I feel like if I wasn't kind of established financially, I probably would have risked more because I'm a big fan of like risking it for the biscuit when you're young because you have time and you can afford to do that. But like I'm a lot more conservative with my investments now because I've got a lot more to lose. So 5 years ago, like if this had come across my desk or whatever, and I thought, yeah, this is a banger, I'm going to invest in this, I probably would have invested a little bit more. But that's my circumstances. My values have changed a bit. So yeah, again, that's a nuanced question, and that's going to be different for everybody.
Good answer. Is that something you did with crypto back in the day? You went like
Yes.
not all in, but heavier.
Oh no, I went all in. Yeah, I went all in.
Gotcha.
Well, like I mean, I felt defeated. Like I started buying gold and silver like when I was 18. And I kind of didn't do much, but like that, I kind of like understood the inflation trade, and I was like saving for a deposit for a house. And I didn't want my money just kind of sitting there doing nothing because I understood inflation. And then I found out about Bitcoin, and it was like actually deflationary. It was like completely the opposite of inflation. So then I kind of went heavy into that. And the idea was always just to invest in crypto because it's liquid. You can literally click a button and sell it immediately. And the idea was have my small amount of money sort of be invested in at least something while I'm saving for this really large out of reach deposit for a house. And then it got to a point where like crypto just completely exploded, and then I was just like, I didn't want to buy a house. I was just like, no, I'm happy. I'm happy doing this. So, but yeah, the moral of the story was, yeah, I actually forgot where I was going with that, but the moral of the story was, yeah, you just kind of want to be invested in anything you can.
There you go. And if you're younger, take more risk.
Yes,
if we really gotcha.
Yeah. Well, because you can afford, you have more time. If you're wrong about something, and you invest substantially into something and you're wrong. If you're young, you can bounce back. If you're 60 and you invest substantially in something and lose it all, like you can't bounce back. You got like 5 working years left in your life. Like, so when you're young, you can take more risk. When you're older, you can't, pretty much.
Gotcha. I did want to take this question too. I think this will be valuable for Mike. From the 3 categories, sealed product, mangas, and the serialized cards, which 2 are you selling and why are you only keeping one of them?
I'm for the record, I'm not selling anything yet, especially the sealed, the graded. What I was saying is when I do eventually sell them, I'll always keep one because they're sentimental to me at this point. And I still love the TCG. I'd probably get rid of the sealed product first because I'm sick of it just filling up an entire spare room of my house. And even then, when I do start culling that, I'll still likely just be keeping all the best sets. I'll probably just be cutting all the mid-tier sets.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting too. I talked to Austin. He's in my group as well. Really smart dude. Just kind of like building funds for people to invest in, because I know there's going to be a lot of people like you where they don't want this stuff in their home. And it does take up a lot of space. I don't think a lot of people realize if you have 6 figures in cardboard, like there goes the room of your house basically. So yeah, for sure. Makes sense. I think we're down to probably like the last question or 2, and then I'll let you say anything you want, and then we'll get out of here if that's cool.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's kind of a meme one. Does blunt smoke blunts?
No, I actually hate weed. I don't smoke it at all. No.
Is there is lore behind the name?
Yeah, look, at the time, I had a shitty profile picture on Twitter and I wanted a new one. And at the time, weed stocks were big, and I'm always like chasing like whatever I think is going to do well. So I was investing in the weed stocks, and I put someone made this for me, and I just literally never changed it. So yeah, that's the lore behind it. But yeah, I don't smoke weed.
Gotcha. I think we'll take this. This will be the last one from Jason, fellow Canadian. Do you think that the TCG investment is a bit different just because there could be some emotional attachment to certain cards or products, whereas with crypto, you don't see that?
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Like, a lot of the cards that I have, I love. I kind of suspected that might be the case, so that's why I kind of bought multiples of each. So when I do decide to sell some, I can afford to get rid of some and keep some because I have multiples. But like I was saying, like all the grails or what I consider grails, I'll probably always keep at least one of them.
Do you think that's potentially a bad thing too, if people get too emotionally attached?
Look, I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, if they have too much invested and you get emotionally attached, and you probably should sell and you don't, and then it crashes, that could be a bad thing. I don't have enough invested in TCGs where even if it all went to zero, like I wouldn't really care that much. Because I've only got like maybe 10% invested at this point. That's kind of also stops me from feeling the need to sell. Like obviously stuff's pumped so much. Some of the cards I bought are at like 10x, but like I don't really feel the need to sell because I trade all sorts of stuff, not just TCGs. So I'm not like I don't have FOMO. I mean, typically, like and again, to what you were saying, if I was invested in like a stock that had gone up 1,000%, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm going to take that profit. But I like the cards, man. I just don't want to sell them.
That's fair. We'll take one more rapid fire too, because I think this is a great one to end on. If there was a sign in the market that you're looking for to call it top, what would it be?
Good question. Probably the most obvious sign would be mass social media influencers getting into One Piece. So far, we've had Logan Paul make like a couple of shitty videos on it and like randomly mention it for 10 seconds. Like, I don't think that counts. I think when we start seeing like influencers with millions of followers like doing box openings and like hyping that shit up, that would be an early warning sign. I think media attention, like news stories about how One Piece investors are up thousands %, like that would be another sign. But these are all signs you can sort of translate into other markets as well. Media attention, them talking about it on the news, massive influencers getting into it. I mean, we know there's influencers like talking about it, like cryptically talking about it, like Mr. Beast and I Show Speed, but like that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm talking about full blown dedicated episodes to like box openings and hyping shit up. That'd definitely be one of the early warning signs I'd be looking for.
Very reasonable, I think. That's awesome, man. Do you have any final words that you want to say to people watching? Anything you want to promote?
Nah. I think I think I've said what I wanted to say. I'm just interested in One Piece, so I wanted to come on and chat with you. And yeah, that was some good questions. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Man. Yeah, I mean, thanks for coming by. If anyone is interested too, there are people watching. You can find Blunts on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Link in the description. And then I think I linked to your YouTube too. Even though you don't post too
Cheers.
often.
Yeah, I
They're
don't
good
post that
videos,
often, but
man.
yeah, thanks.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by the live stream. Stay safe wherever you guys are in the world. And we'll catch you in the next one. We're out.
Cheers.